Hello, everyone. Tonight, as part of a kind of Western crime series I'm running over the next couple of months, we are playing Seco Creek Vigilance Committee by Keith Stetson. This is set in the Old West and follows a group of, I guess, law enforcement and their posse in a pivotal moment in the town's history. My name is Donna. My pronouns are he/him. I am running the game tonight. So let's go through our players and their characters for a quick introduction in character keeper order, and then we'll jump in.
Thanks, Donna. My name is Jonathan. My pronouns are he, him. And I'll be playing Sheriff Damien Walter. And there've been a lot of sheriffs in Seco Creek, mm, but he's not deterred. He's pretty confident in his position. He's got a folksy charm which he uses to exploit the townsfolk and get as much as he can while he's in this position before the town is incorporated, which he hopes never happens.
Okay, thanks, Jonathan. Sabine.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Sabine. I use any pronouns, and I am going to play the deputy Alonso Marquez, who is more of the, well, he's closer to the town folk. He's not much of a politician, right? He's kind of, yeah, he realizes that life could be better, but life could be worse. It's always kind of stepping in the direction of better and then slides back to worse. And what can you do, right? Yeah, he once shot a man for a thing that man didn't do, but oh, there's a cat. And yeah, but well, what can you do, right? He wasn't a good man, that's for sure.
Awesome, thanks, Sabine. Puckett, how about you?
Hi there, my name is Puckett. I use he pronouns. I'll be playing a character named Clementine Duval today. She is a rancher who has been here since before this town even existed. She's been out here with just a couple of other people for quite some time, and now civilization has found its way to her door, and she's not necessarily too thrilled about that.
Okay, and lastly, Mark, I want to introduce you and your character.
Hi, I'm Mark. He, him pronouns. I'm playing John Gammon, former outlaw, current saloon employee in Seco Creek. And John finds himself a little bit torn as he was part of this posse bringing in these outlaws, because one of those outlaws is, in fact, his very own brother, Billy Gammon.
Yeah, so I think it's mere moments after you have deposited those three outlaws in the jail cell. And I think it's too early for a crowd to have gathered, but everyone who had an eye in their window or was out in the street saw you bring these guys in. And I think a couple of them are standing across the street, maybe under cover of the saloon's veranda. And one person has arrived at the door, the very forthright Carolina Ruiz, who is a teacher in the town. And yeah, I think she knocks on the door. Alonso, why don't you describe Carolina as she normally is, and then we'll see if the door gets opened for her or not.
I think she's the school teacher, right? So she is not. She's not a shy person. Normally, she knows how to make herself heard and to get people to listen to her. She's not tall. She's not particularly impressive physically, but well, if you've been a school teacher, she kind of likes being a school teacher because she gets to boss people around. But yeah, I guess.
Okay. So yeah, the what's the setup of this door? Is this like a glass door, a wooden door? Is there like a blind on it? Can she see inside the office? And whoever's going to answer the door can answer those questions. John, do you think it's John Gammon?
Yeah, I think it's so this is the door to the sheriff's office / jail.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's a wooden door reinforced with what was available, and it's got a peephole in it so that it's like a little sliding peephole. So John opens that up, sees Carolina out there, and he says, "What can I do for you, ma'am?"
We've all heard the news, Mr. Gammon, and I would just hate to see violence descend upon your good selves, because well, Mr. Slater was a well-liked member of the community, and we know you have the people who killed him. So I'm just here to give you some friendly advice.
I think John starts to turn away, leaving the peephole open, and he says, "Sheriff Walter, school teacher's here to see you."
Is that Carolina? Oh, well, howdy, ma'am. What seems to be the trouble?
Well, the trouble right now is I'm not going to talk to a closed door.
Well, I respect that. But you tell me what your business is, and then maybe we'll see about it.
Well, I hear you have the people inside who robbed the stage and killed poor Mr. Slater.
Yeah, that was a damn shame. I like Jack. He was a good man. Well liked too, I know. Well, if you ain't gonna cause trouble now, Mrs. Ruiz, you can come on inside. You ain't gonna cause trouble now, are you?
Me, Sheriff. The only person who's going to cause trouble around here is Mr. Cowell's people, and you had better do your duty and protect the people of this town if you know what's good for you.
Well, I respect that, man, but I feel I've done my duty. The KO folks, we arrested them. They're in jail right now. They'll get the process of the law just as anyone else in this town who works it. So you can rest assured on that.
So you opening the door?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I open the door. She's
Yeah.
if she's agreed to not cause trouble, she can come on in. And so sheriff opens the door. He closes the peephole, opens the door. He says, "Come on in, man."
I think she steps in, but she is maybe maybe she's good at hiding her disdain for the sheriff, because she doesn't greet you, but she does tip her hat to the other members of the posse, and maybe being especially gracious with Alonzo, your deputy, who is very well thought of by townsfolk here.
Yeah.
I'll,
And I think
I'll give her a greeting because,
I was just going to say, I think Sheriff knows that Carolina doesn't like him, and she knows that the deputy is probably better better suited to this task. So he says, ma'am, I think why don't you share your concerns with my deputy? I'm sure he'd be happy to listen to any problems you might have. And I've got some business I need to attend to. So if you don't mind, and he just goes and sits down on the desk and puts his feet up.
Okay. So I'm gonna just draw everyone's attention to the keys for characters. So these are important things about your character. And I want, obviously, I'm happy for you to do that, but I wonder if this rankles a little bit at the sheriff's pride. You have a key of pride. Is this like, I have something more important to do, and she's not meant to understand that, or are you like showing your disdain for the townsfolk here?
No, this is the key of pride. This is like, it's a sad affair, but she's just a school teacher, and I don't need to deal with this stuff. This is beneath me.
Okay, cool.
I'll roll my eyes so that Sheriff Walter can see it, and say, yeah, that's very important business there. So what seems to be the problem, Miss Grace?
Well, Mr. Marquez, the townsfolk are, I won't say up in arms, but they know you got the guys who've been terrorizing this town and gotten away with murder, if I'm to believe my ears. So I think you'll have a crowd here before long.
We arrested them. They're in jail. They don't see the judge, and the judge will hang them if they did the thing. You know that.
The judge in Bright City, who's let them off the hook how many times now?
Yeah, but that's the law, right? That's all we have, Miss Reese. You know that. That's what you teach in your school, isn't it? That we live in a place where we have a rule of law, right? We are not savages. We're not just hanging people or shooting people. It's not what we do.
Well, Mr. Marquez,
I mean, you know that there are rules, right?
I do, and these men break those laws and flout them.
And they will face the consequence. They will.
Well, how many times have they been shipped off to Bright City and faced no consequences?
There wasn't blood on the ground back then. There's now. People, even in Bright City, people knew Jack Slater. They respected him. Come on, Miss Ruiz, we're not savages. We're not. We can't evolve. We can't do it. We can't just say, hey, it was them, because truth is, I don't know. I didn't see them do that. Maybe it was someone else. Someone had a grudge with Jack. He rubbed some people the wrong way. You know that.
So I think like you not backing her up has definitely taken the sail out of her wings, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think your kind of favor or your influence over the townsfolk is definitely enough to sway her right now. But I wonder, do you want this to be kind of impacting the townsfolk's fire and fury, or are you gonna like see to counter that in person at a later time?
I think I would like to have the townsfolk not go into violence, because I mean, we've got people here who really are good at violence, myself included. And I know what the sheriff thinks about the transport. He doesn't care much about them. That's my judgment. That he doesn't care much about them, and if he has to put the bullet in one of them, he wouldn't bat an eye, right? He wouldn't. Not might pretend to, but he really wouldn't. He doesn't care. So I'd rather they didn't come here with torches and pitchforks and make the situation worse for everybody. Because
yeah, go ahead.
Because I will tell her that we are upholding the law here. This is what we're here for. And we're not going to throw that to the wind.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, you know, for her to carry that message strong back, you know, she is maybe gonna paint you in a negative light with regards to their interests. But, you know, maybe help me frame what that light would be. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's like anything like corrupt or in the politician's pocket or anything like that. But
No.
maybe it's.
Maybe it's a little too much, too trusting in the law. Maybe like
or naive. You know that.
Or maybe it's not naive. It's the other. It's too righteous.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's the whole. Yeah, that guy is so much believes too much in the law, and he's a stickler for that. He won't just let that go.
Yeah, yeah. I think a stickler for the law is a good consequence, right? That they know you're not going to bend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I hit my key of duty, right?
Oh, for backing up the sheriff.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Or when you carry out your sworn duty as a law officer, yeah, for sure. Okay. Awesome.
Go here. Okay.
So.
Do I write that consequence down? Yeah.
Yeah. So in the consequence, just in between your just below your favors, you can just write that down. You can probably. I'm not sure how many consequences you're going to have. You might be able to merge all those.
I'm merging because otherwise it will confuse me.
Yeah. Okay. So this conversation is taking place pretty much at the front door, right?
I think I'm letting her come in, right?
Okay.
Because I mean, we're not standing in the doorway. I'm not keeping her in the doorway. That would be impolite.
Okay. I have no idea how big this office is. You know, it's like a normal size building, so I think it's like deeper than just this front area. So maybe the jail cells are not quite in earshot or whatever. So I'm wondering what Clementine and John are doing while Alonzo talks to Carolina.
Oh. Carolina, why don't you just go home and tuck your head back into one of them books that you like trying to make people read?
Duval, there's no call for language like that. She's worried. She's worried. She has a right to be worried. She lives in this town. She cares about
this is
people.
stuff that doesn't concern her.
There was a person gunned down in the middle of the town. That concerns her, Mr. Duval.
That doesn't sound like it concerns her much. It sounds like she's sitting here telling us what we should be doing. And frankly, she ain't been here long enough.
She's been here long enough.
She's an absolute tenderfoot.
She's a teacher. She does more for the community than you, Mr. Duval.
Excuse me. I leave this community. There ain't no community. My cattle drives bring people here. That's why, Miss Ruiz, you have children to teach.
I
I could
wonder.
move. I can
Oh.
go. I could just pick up sticks and I can take my herd someplace else and we can do something else. But this, Miss, you should just go home and I'll give you a tip for free. Don't even have to pay me a nickel for it. If you hear bullets, duck. And I'm trying to hit that iconoclast key here.
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly you have gotten the disapproval of the deputy, and yeah, I think you claiming to be like the I don't know, the moral center and every other center that matters a damn in this community definitely irks Carolina Ruiz. So yeah, for sure. There's does a kind of Alonso, react in any other way? Because I think Miss Ruiz is gonna, turn her back and walk back the way she came.
I look at Clementine and say, times are changing, Mr. Val.
Well, deputy,
And I know you don't like it, but
at least when I
it
pull a
will.
trigger, I hit the right person.
Oh, I hit the right person. I hit it for him for the wrong reason, but I hit the right person.
Well, I guess that's why the sheriff over there is the sheriff. Because when he shoots somebody, he shoots them for the right reason.
Maybe.
And
Maybe.
I respect that about the sheriff. Because I like to do the same damn thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about you, Mr. Val.
You don't have to know about me, deputy. Just why don't you just go ahead and go right back to doing whatever the sheriff tells you to do?
I am.
There's a good boy. And I'm just going to keep thumbing shells into my revolvers and making sure my gun belt's full and making sure that my rifle and my shotgun are loaded.
Does the Jonathan, does the sheriff like raise an eyebrow at this conflict amongst his people, or just
No, he's quite he's kind of got he's kind of just like picking the dirt out of his fingernails, like with his feet up on the desk, and he's not he's not watching what's going on, but he's listening, and like he kind of quirks a smile, like he's happy for this to play out and just see what happens, but he's glad that he's got an ally in Miss Duval, and and he's happy to let the or see what the deputy's made of and what the deputy's doing. And but this is all playing out quite nicely for him, and he's happy to just kind of just let it ride for now.
okay, awesome.
And just to confirm, I mark an XP.
Yeah, you take an XP for turning a key.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cool.
As a player, I feel terribly sorry for the deputy right now. As the sheriff, I don't at all.
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. He's good. He's just a little disgusted, mainly, but there's no use in fighting this. There will come other battles, for sure.
So Mark, is John like looking on for this, or has he gone back to see to the folks in the jail cell like back?
I think while this was getting started, he was making coffee, and he poured himself a cup, sat down, and was kind of watching the fireworks from under the brim of his hat. and getting a little bit nervous for a variety of reasons. Was wondering if this posse will hold together long enough to get these outlaws on that train at 3:10, or or if it's going to start to go down like it would if it was happening at the Cahill gang out on the ranch. Somebody's going to be crawling away with a bullet in their belly. And he's also keeping an eye on, he's always trying to keep an eye on those keys. He's got a bad feeling about those keys. He's watching where they are on Deputy Marquez, seeing if they change hands. But yeah, eventually he stands, walks back with the coffee pot, walks back to the jail, and he's got 3 cups. He says, any of you want some, Joe?
So, yeah, I think Trevor Krieg is like standing at the bars, looking maybe looking nervous, and obviously having tried to like earwig a little bit about what's happening in the front office. Mabel Westcott is sitting down, and your brother is kind of getting some shut eye on a bench. Hey, John, says Trevor. What's going on out there? Sounds like sounds worse than the gang after a night on the whiskey.
He hands him a cup of coffee, and he says, "Yeah, it's getting pretty ugly. Seems like townsfolk don't want you all getting on that train tomorrow."
Well, if we're too much trouble for you, you could we could make a daring escape, be out of the county pretty short time, and hey, these things happen, right?
John cracks a smile. He says, "Well, I think there's some folks inside this building who are opposed to that resolution, and I don't think I can make that happen."
Well, maybe there's a resolution we can concoct that'll leave them maybe not happy, but maybe not holding you to blame. Give you a little bump on your head for your troubles, right?
He chuckles and says, "Now, Trevor, I know you ain't got it in you to shoot that old man. You tell me who done it. Maybe we can make some arrangements."
We did not shoot. Well, we did not shoot that old man. He was dead when we came on the stage. Shit, you like. If we wanted him dead, all we had to do was wait out another winter. You know what we're like, John. I mean, if people shoot at us or gonna shoot at us, we might shoot them first or second or whatever. But like an old man, why would you hang for a guy who ain't got diddly squat to say to you? I mean, okay, he might say mean things, but he's not gonna do anything.
Oh, I tell you, I know you don't shoot first, but that don't mean Billy or Mabel don't.
Oh, sure, they're mean as hell, but shooting Jack Slater, who would do such a thing?
Well,
listen, I don't take my chances with a lynch mob or some kind of town hanging, or I don't even want to take my chances in Bright City. Maybe a bit of silver might find its way into Mr. John Gammon's lockbox. We're good for it.
I
You'll
ain't
call it
changing
your
sides for
cut.
no piece of silver. I don't want to cut. I don't want a cut of your blood money. John's gonna go ahead and he'll look Trevor in the eyes one more time. Then he looks over at Billy to see if it looks like Billy's really sleeping. Then he'll start to walk out.
Yeah, I think Billy is maybe like pushes the hat back from over his face and says, "Oh, you can't turn that boy. He is straight as an arrow now. He is gone true blue, whatever tin star wearing."
It's good to see you too, Billy. And then John will walk back to the front of the office.
And I think like before you close the door into the jail cells, you're gonna hear your brother say, "See, I told you he wasn't for turning." You're wasting your breath, Trevor.
Now, this is kind of borderline because I wasn't really gunning for it, but do you think he of redemption fits there? It's not really taking an action. It was more like talking, but
Tinsky, when you take action to show that you have reformed from your previous ways. I mean, I guess it's your definitive lack of action, right? So I'm happy to say that works.
Okay.
So back out front, do we still have Clementine and Alonzo, breathing the same air as one of you had to go outside to cool off, or are you happy to sit around?
No, I'm not leaving because of that woman. I'm staying around. I'm making coffee for the sheriff and me. Clementine can make her own coffee. She's been here long enough.
I'm keeping my powder dry. Listening out to what's going on outside, waiting for something to go on outside.
So yeah, I mean, once a period of time passes and it looks like there's no mob that's going to storm the sheriff's office right this minute. Is this the kind of equilibrium that the group reaches? It's just like quiet, minding your own business, staying frosty, drinking coffee, or does anyone like relax, or someone take out a pack of cards or anything like that? Does Sheriff Walter like set the mood for his people?
Yeah, I think the sheriff takes the coffee from the deputy. He's like, "Thank you, deputy." And he drinks his coffee and he's looking around. And I think there must be a town paper. Surely there's a Seco Creek pioneer or something. And he's got the paper while he's drinking his coffee, and if things settle down, he's happy to just kind of relax. He encourages the others he's like, "Miss Duval, pull up a seat. Let's no need to stand on ceremony here."
This is the West, Sheriff. We don't stand on ceremony anywhere.
Damn straight. Well, it don't look like nothing's going to happen. Deputies Deputy, you handled that very well. Think Carolina ain't gonna cause no trouble, so let's all just take a moment and we'll get them fellas on the train in no time.
It would have been easier if some people hadn't chosen to intervene, but I hope they'll see a reason, yes.
Would have been easier if you just told her to get on her way and mind her own business.
Yeah, that would have been easier for sure. And then the townspeople would be come back with torches and pitchforks for these guys.
Look,
Then we'd be in a fight with them, and what use would that be, huh?
townsfolk are probably going to come anyway, and they're going to make some noise. But it's amazing what firing a round or two over their heads will do.
Yeah. I'd rather not fire a round over their head. Because, you know what? I'm living in this town. I'm living with these people, and I'd rather not shoot a man. I don't know if you
I
can
wasn't talking
understand
about
that.
shooting them. You put a round over their heads. You just
Yeah.
show them you're ready.
How's your
You're
brother,
right.
John?
I don't
I
want to
don't
shoot over
want
their
to
heads
show
either.
them I'm ready to kill them. That's pretty much it, right? I want to take these chuckleheads to the judge in Brighttown, and maybe they'll hang this time, or maybe they not. But I don't want a confrontation with the townspeople. What's so hard to understand about that? I don't want to shoot at my neighbors, huh?
Well, you wouldn't be shooting at them. You'd be shooting over them. But I agree, it would be a waste of a bullet. You should shoot them.
But I don't want to shoot them. There are very few
Deputy.
people in this fucking town that I would like to shoot.
Deputy,
No. Let's all
sometimes you got to
settle
shoot
down,
some
folks.
people. You
Yeah.
know this. You've done it.
Do.
Okay.
Oh yes, I know that.
I think
Very
the sheriff
well.
gets up and I think the sheriff gets up at this because it's not. He thought that it was going to settle down. It looked like it was going to settle down, but now it's picked back up again. So he's like sighs and he gets up off his chair and puts the coffee down and he comes up behind Deputy Marquez and puts his hand and pats him on the shoulder and he says, Miss Duval, would you accompany me for a drink? I think down at the saloon. I think Lindsay can sort of that.
If you feel we can leave here for a minute or two, Sheriff, that's your call.
Yeah, I think the deputy showed Miss Ruiz what's what and that we got things well in hand. And you, John, how's your brother doing? Is they causing any trouble back there?
No, they're quiet.
Yeah, see, ain't no trouble. All right, what, Miss Deputy Marquez, you got things covered here?
Sure thing, Sheriff. We got it.
All right, Miss Duval, let's go for a drink. I'm mighty thirsty after catching them out.
Whiskey it is.
Perfect. After you, ma'am.
You're buying, right?
Oh, for sure. Miss Lindsay will take care of it.
And I will walk out the door, but not before shooting another glance at Alonzo.
Yeah, he just seems relieved that you're gone, actually.
So did I manage to hit the key of tradition there, talking about the way things have always been done out west?
In what regard?
Talking about firing over a crowd's head and then being ready to shoot into them if you need to. They're getting ready to try to storm the jail for hanging.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Is that what the way we think things are done traditionally in the West as opposed to back East?
I don't know how often people storm jails. Really, I mean, is that a common occurrence? I will defer to the Americans in this group.
What I'll say is that it depends on where you were, but back East was generally a little less gun happy.
Okay. Yeah, so let's let's say that is the way it goes out here, right?
All right. Another XP.
So,
When they are gone, I will turn to John and say, well, now we've halved our firepower, but at least it's quiet. And there is something to be said for quiet, because if there's trouble here, these people over there, they might catch up on that kind of mood, and we don't want that, right? Everything needs to be quiet. I think that's better for everyone.
Yeah, them folks like to chew your ear off.
Yeah. Well, at least one person has to chew our ear off. And I think I'm hitting my key of the silver lining here, because this is not a great situation that we are 2 people down, but at least peace and quiet. It's nice.
I think that's totally fair.
When all you got is lemonades or lemons, you need a bit of sugar to make lemonade, and it's quiet. Is
when all you've got is lemons, you're glad Clementine has left the building,
right? And you don't get scurvy, right?
That too, yeah. Okay. Is there like a reaction from John on that, or is he getting extra squirrely or extra frosty now that there's only the 2 of you?
Yeah, I think John is he's more nervous now than he was before, for a variety of reasons. And Alonzo might notice that when he's not looking into his coffee cup, he's glancing over at the keys that hang at Alonzo's waist.
Alonzo
Not sure what he's
turns.
thinking.
Alonzo turns a little away so that he can readily spot the keys. He doesn't say anything. He gives a kind of friendly smile, but there's something there that says, I've seen what you're looking at and you're not getting it.
Excellent.
Okay, awesome. So Jonathan, why don't you describe the saloon across the street that Lindsay manages? Is there a name to it, or is it just the saloon?
That's a good question. I think it's definitely got a name. I think let's call it the number 7 saloon. Let's say because it was the 7th building built in the town. So and 7th, lucky number 7, right? It's, yeah, some call it Lucky 7 Saloon, but it's just the number 7. Yeah, is it Lindsay? What's her last name? Lindsay Hale. She's the saloon owner, and she's got a crush on me, I think, or romantic intentions towards me, which I'm about to make use of. So we go into the saloon. I mean, it's got the Batwing, traditional doors that swing past as we walk in. I of course let Miss Duval come first, like a gentleman that I am, and we walk in, and I say, just indicate towards the bar, and we walk up, and I nodded a few of the townsfolk that I know who are there. I'm sure there's some folk playing cards at the tables, and a few folk drinking at the bar. And say hello, and then I'm sure Lindsay spots me from a mile away, and I walk on up, and yeah. What time of day is it? Is it still, as far as how far away is 3:10 from where we are now?
So 3 p.m. is tomorrow, I believe.
Oh, it's tomorrow.
Let me just double check that. Yeah, 3
Yep.
p.m., 3:10 p.m. tomorrow is the train to
Okay.
Bright City.
We got to get through the night.
You got to get through the night,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay.
And that's
I gotta
never
say, I'm
any trouble,
curious.
right?
How does
That'll be
Lindsay
just a
react to the
couple
sheriff?
hours.
How does Lindsay react to the sheriff walking in with me?
Yeah, I think there is a broad smile on Lindsay's face. I do not. Let me just double check. There is no. Yeah, there's no ill will from Lindsay towards Clementine, as far as I recall. So yeah, I think she's tending bar, and she pulls out a bottle of whiskey and two glasses, and bids you to sit down. And I guess she does like offer before she starts pouring, just in case. Um, Clementine,
Well, yeah.
how are
Yep.
you today?
Well, I'd rather be on my ranch, but needs must. And I'm carefully turning to make sure that everybody in the saloon can see that I have a revolver on each hip. I've got a shotgun and a sawed-off rifle in cases on my back. I want to make sure that these people see that I am heavily armed and accompanying the sheriff.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple of people here who are paying attention to you both, and maybe that kind of very obvious display that you're packing heat, if that isn't the most egregious anachronism possible in this day and age. But yeah, I think they notice, and maybe you see one kind of shrug their shoulders, as if. But maybe not. They're not surprised. Maybe is this normal for Clementine?
No.
So usually it would be like a rancher's single revolver, right?
Exactly. I'd have a revolver on me to shoot snakes or whatever as I came to town if I needed to, but I wouldn't have a revolver on each hip. I wouldn't have a knife obviously tucked into my boot. I wouldn't have a rifle, 30-06 on my shoulder. I would not have a shotgun. I would be wearing a lot less leather, most likely. It looks like I am ready, not necessarily spoiling, but ready for a gunfight, and a lengthy one at that. But I will take that glass of whiskey. Say, Sheriff, Lindsay, what are we drinking to?
Well, let's drink to Lindsay here. She's put it on my tab.
So
That's for the first round. The second round we'll drink for the safety of the town, of course.
Sheriff,
So,
I'm kind of surprised you didn't want to toast peace and quiet for the first round.
Well, I like to pay my respects to my host.
So yeah, I think she takes out a third glass and pours each of you a double. Marks it in the book, and if it ain't too gauche to drink to my own health, I guess I'll raise my glass.
Well, if it makes you feel better, Lindsay, let's drink to the number 7. I love coming here. You know that. Miss Duval, come sit down. I don't think there's going to be no trouble here.
Oh,
And
neither
then
do I, Sheriff.
And he looks across the bar at he's like, And he sees Morgan there, and he's like, who's caught his eye, and he's like, "How's it going, Morgan?"
Um, yeah, I think Morgan is not half as drunk as you might usually see him. He is a little bit better off than his reputation would have, and he ducks ahead to Miss Duval and just finishing one before I head out, Miss Duval.
That's okay, Morgan. You've been doing good lately. Just remember, you want to stay on that good path, right? Straight and narrow.
Surely do.
We'll look over at the sheriff and say, you know that Morgan's been working out on our ranch?
Yeah, I thought I heard something about that.
Turned into a real steady hand.
Well, I'm glad to hear. That's we were worried for poor Morgan, but that sounds like you're a positive influence.
It is
And he takes a
amazing
sip.
what hard work will do for someone.
Amen to that.
Devil's work.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, I think that there ain't much of the devil in this town. We got things well under control.
And at that, I'll lean in and say, Sheriff, you ever dealt with a mob before?
Well, I had my trouble. I've had a trouble or two. I've had to exert my authority, but there ain't been too much of that since I became sheriff.
Sheriff, just remember, crowds don't act like people do.
Mm.
They're different beasts completely. They may be made of people, but they don't act like people. Usually a crowd will sink to its worst impulses, not its better angels.
That's true. That has been my experience, but I don't think we'll see none of that now.
Well, you can think all you want, just be ready for it if it happens. I mean, I surely hope that there isn't going to be anything like that. But I'm not taking any chances.
Well, I will. Sorry, go for it.
I was going to say, pat the gun on my right hip.
Oh, you pull it out?
No, I'm just patting it.
Patting it. Yeah. Well, it's good to have you on our side, Mr. Duval. I think I don't think that there'll be trouble, but if there is, I'll do my duty.
Just when you get back, you need to get ready for nightfall.
He takes he drinks the second drink and signals to Lindsay to fill again, and he's like and he says to he looks at Clementine and he's like, I'll do my duty, but we don't need to invite no trouble neither, if you catch my meaning.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just saying we need to put stuff in front of the windows, make it harder for people to try to get in there.
In the sheriff's office?
Yep.
Uh,
Sheriff, you may think your authority is enough to keep people sensible. And if you were talking about one or two people, that might be true. But a crowd that's mad as hell and thinking that some people that are pretty sure are guilty are going to get away with something can do some some downright irrational things, like ignore a sheriff, drag people out of a cell, and string them up. And Sheriff, I'm pretty sure that both of us want those boys to get to trial.
I'm counting on that. And I thank you for all your help so far, Mr. Duval. I don't think we need to do nothing rash now.
I'm not saying anything rash. I'm just saying hope for the best and be ready for the worst.
I think there's sense in that. But let me tell you something. I've been sheriff for a while now, and you know that it's just sheriff. That I ain't no elected official, and I ain't got nothing but me and my gun, and this here badge that says that keeps this town in line, and that ain't a lie. And he kind of leans forward and he says, "But you know how I keep it that way?"
I expect it's because of your pleasant demeanor.
You got it, and that's why we don't want to cause fear in these people. We don't want to be making sure, letting people think that we're scared of them. These townsfolk, they deserve a fair shot, and we're gonna give it to them. We're gonna let we don't until they come with their pitchforks and knives and such. We're gonna just relax and have a drink.
Well,
If
I hope
they come, we will be ready. But we don't need to put up a sign that says "Get lost."
I just hope that when somebody takes that fair shot that you're giving them, it doesn't go through your liver, Sheriff.
Well, I hope that too.
Okay. So I think maybe the two characters can go around with their varying points of view, but let's wrap now. So I'm going to stop recording, and then we'll do our stars and wishes for next week. Okay, so we're back, and let's jump back in. While I guess waiting for the sheriff and Clementine to return from the Lucky Number 7 saloon, let's shift our attention back to the sheriff's office, where we have the deputy, Alonzo Marquez, and John Gammon, keeping an eye on their charges. So, it's my duty to stir the pot as the judge in this session. So stir I shall. I like to think that we've just seen Morgan Baird, the town drunk, but sometimes worker at Clementine's ranch, slip out, having had not as many drinks as he might have had in the past. And we see him cross the street and go round back to the sheriff's office. Sabine, you hear, I guess Alonzo will maybe be the first to hear some jimmying on the back door. Do you think it's like particularly loud and obvious, or do you think Alonzo is just that sharp-eared?
I think I'm hanging out with John Gammon, right? Maybe we're not talking so much, so it's not that loud actually, but if in a quiet room where there's nothing to do but listen to crickets, you hear it. So Alonzo will sigh. Just does not sound like a very serious and violent attempts, and will walk over, wait a bit, see how that goes, the jimmying. And if he gets bored, he will then commence to open the door.
Yeah,
he has his gun not quite in his hand, but the holster is open enough so that he can draw quickly if need be.
So I think maybe Morgan is not a great thief, or maybe there's a particularly tough lock given that it's on the sheriff's back door.
I think he's not a particularly good thief.
But you open the door, with your hand on or at least your gun displayed in easy draw mode, to find Morgan on his knees, right in front of the lock.
How did Morgan lost something?
Oh yeah. And he looks around. I mean, as a I don't know, a bit of a scoundrel, a bit of a certainly someone who's used to getting into trouble in his youth, right? He has a ready excuse, and he just picks something up off the ground that was right next to the door, maybe a bowl or something for the dog, and said, "Yeah. I remember I dropped my bowl here earlier after breakfast."
It's very good that you came by, because somebody was shimmying the lock. Might have seen them.
Oh, no. I would have seen them.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I think, he looks at the door, because I think whatever he was using to pick the lock is still in the lock. Your sudden opening of the door kind of ripped it out of his hands. Well, Mr. Marquez, I'll see you later.
Morgan, in all honesty, what were we trying to do here? Come on.
I don't know what you mean.
You do know what I mean. That's your whatever it is in the lock. You were fuddling around with it. What are you doing? What are you trying to do here? I don't want you to get into any more trouble. You know that.
Any more trouble? I'm not going to get into any trouble. I mean,
we were trying to break into the sheriff's office, Morgan. You're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Well,
unless you tell me the truth.
Okay. So, in terms of getting the truth out of him, what do you think? What's your approach here? Are you just gonna maybe, be all law enforcement officer and let him know exactly what he's doing and it's his own good to own up, or is there any other approach you're taking here?
I'm trying to be kind of friendly here. I mean, he knows that I know, right? And I don't want to put him in the jail or anything or cause any trouble for him, but he needs to be honest with me.
So I think, as a member of the townsfolk, to imply that one of them should go into jail is probably going to cost you favor with the townsfolk. But I'm sure some of the more, right-minded people, either the merchants or the politicians, will think you're doing good. Right.
I'm trying just right now to keep him from going into jail, actually, but he needs to own up. Okay. Because we need to keep the peace in the town.
Well, then, sorry. So his approach is just to say, I wasn't doing anything, and to walk away. And so, what are you going to do to him to stop him from not admitting it and walking away?
Mm. I think I'll say, hey, wait up. Why don't you join us for a drink?
Okay. So, yeah, I think that's. I mean, what do you think? Do people in town are they protective of Morgan's going in for a drink somewhere, or is this just
I mean, he's the town drunk. I don't think anybody's particularly protective.
okay? Except for Clementine, of course.
I don't care for fucking Clementine. She's not here.
Yeah, so I think he
And
has.
I really need to know what he was trying to do here, because I don't think he was acting on his own. And if he gets a little drunk, then he might loosen up a bit.
So yeah, I think he doesn't resist for very long. You know, he kind of looks away, and you can kind of see the cogs turning. He really doesn't think he ought to, but he does. And I think when he like passes by the cells, there's a bit of curious looks and maybe a bit of heckling. Um, but he kind of tries to look away. He tries to kind of ignore them and not make any eye contact with them. So yeah, he walks in and sits down next to John Gammon. Looks for a spare cup and a whiskey bottle.
Yeah, I'll get him a cup. We have a bottle of whiskey, and I fill it up a little, not too much, because A, I can get drunk myself because I have for my duties here, and B, I don't want him to be super blackout drunk. I just want him to loosen him up a bit, right?
Okay. John, are you sticking around to hear this, or are you? I think the peanut gallery at back is, asking questions. Hey, what was he doing back there?
Yeah, John has been kind of watching this all intently, and if Deputy Marquez stepped like over the threshold of the door, you could see John thinking, he was just like thinking, maybe if he kitty barred that door. But then when he saw Baird go back by those cells, he was watching Trevor in particular to see if he was giving away any kind of signs of if he had something weird going with Baird, since Baird was making such an effort to get in here. And then when Alonzo was getting out the drinks, I think that John's gonna get up, walk over and pour 2 cups of coffee, brings one back and sets it down next to the glass of whiskey, kind of like uses it to push the glass of whiskey kind of out of the way so that the cup of coffee is in between Baird and the glass of whiskey. He feels bad for her. What a drunkard he's become.
Yeah, who doesn't? But it's better that he'd be drunk than he'd be in jail or shot or anything like that. This is a good way to get to be either.
John, how's it going?
Well, things have been better, but I figure if we could just get these folks back here out of that train tomorrow, I will have done what I needed to do.
You're not gonna send your brother to get hung, are you?
So I think he spends a few seconds looking Baird in the eye, and then he looks away, and he takes another drink of coffee. He just doesn't answer him.
What are your people like, Deputy? You got brothers back home?
Mm. Do I? Yeah, I got a brother. Went for a soldier, lost a leg. You got siblings?
Nope. But well, when I was growing up here, it was like John and Billy were like my brothers.
Oh, I see.
I kind of thought we'd have each other's back no matter what, but maybe when you take a badge, you see things differently.
Yeah, maybe when you do a crime, you make things different.
Who's done crime?
There's a man dead. You remember old, what was his name? Frank Slater? You remember old Mr. Slater?
Yeah, I remember Jack.
Oh, Jack, right. So?
Hey,
Some
you're
old
saying
guy.
if you're saying those guys in there are guilty, then they're guilty, right?
No, I'm not the judge. The judge gonna say that.
Well, you just said they'd done a crime.
They might have done a crime. That's why we're sending them to the judge. Come on, you know how the law works.
Well, that's above my pay grade, I reckon.
Mm.
And he reaches over the coffee to pick up the glass, and well, here's to your brother, Deputy.
Cheers.
So at that point, if I can, I think that John kind of lunges over into his chair, grabs Morgan by the shirt, and like shoves him up against the wall. And he says, is this all acceptable so far, Donna? In
Yeah,
terms of
absolutely.
the game mechanics? Okay.
Yeah.
So
there may
he's
be
got him
some
up against
mechanical repercussions, but yeah, sure.
yeah. Up against the wall, and he says, listen, I'm sorry that this turned out this way. I'm sorry that you are what you are now. If I could change it, I would. If I could change Billy, I would. But I'm the one who changed. So keep your mouth shut about my brother. Then he steps away sits down in the chair and tries to like smooth out his shirt, catch his breath.
So, so do you think this is like, pushing down your relationship with the townsfolk and up for the outlaws?
I think it's definitely pushing it down with the townsfolk. I don't know that I'm winning in any way. I mean, it's not really winning with the outlaws either.
Yeah,
it feels
yeah.
like.
Or maybe
Didn't the townsfolk want to lynch these guys? Now the townsfolk are on with, no, you can't free these guys. I feel that the townsfolk are very confused about what they think is the right action to take here. Just saying.
But Baird's with the townsfolk, right?
Yeah, I mean, so Morgan is townsfolk, though he has personal history with the Gammons. That's it's
I was just wondering because so if you ever act against one of the townsfolk, even though they have different agendas, you go down with all the townsfolk.
I guess to give the mechanics of favor a weight, right? He's gonna, presuming he survives, he's gonna walk out of here and say, John Gammon is definitely not on our side.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay.
So yeah, or I think maybe down favor with the townsfolk. Yeah, presuming he survives well. And maybe a consequence is being like, I don't know, don't bring my brother into this, overprotective of Billy, something like that. Prickly when it comes to family members.
I didn't read it at all. Like overprotective of him. It was condemning of him, right?
But I feel like John just feels like he knows what he's doing. He knows that Billy's got to go to see the judge.
Okay. I guess my reading of that was like, don't bring my brother into this. It's or you leave him to me, kind of thing. Which not brotherly love exactly, but
no.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'll take -1 from the townsfolk.
Okay. Sabine, do you want to get more out of Morgan? I imagine you do.
I got what I wanted. I think he's acting on his own because I know that Carolina said that most of the townsfolk were for hanging these guys, and so Morgan does not have a great standing, and he just admitted that he has personal reasons of freeing Billy. So I think I'll let him handle off.
Okay. I mean, you could, if you were, if you want to get some signal for sure as to what he's up to, you could probably push harder.
No, I don't want to. I think John has made a point. I think he's acting, and Alonso now thinks he's acting on his own.
Okay.
And he will go over and say, okay, I think we've all had enough. Morgan, please don't try anything. Okay, we are here to uphold the law. You know how this goes. Just go back to Mr. Vall's farm, drink and sleep it off.
So
maybe I think, pray a little.
I imagine when John accosted him, that glass of whiskey might have spilled over him, right? And so he kind of looks down on him, his like whiskey sodden vest, and walks out shaking his head. I think you can definitely turn that key of redemption, Mark.
And can I turn my key off top duty? Because I can't carry out my duty, right?
Mind him holding the fort, I guess, is in that regard, and making sure no harm or foul comes to your charges. Yeah.
Also, I've found the good in a bad situation because it's gonna be fine. He's acting on his own. Everything is gonna be fine. Nobody's gonna do anything. Just have to get through the night.
Clementine or Puckett, do you want Clementine to see the whiskey sodden Morgan walking out of the sheriff's office?
I mean, considering I didn't see him walk into the sheriff's office, I'm kind of wondering how he got in there. Now, is this something that the sheriff also sees?
Yeah, what you think, Jonathan? Are you and Clementine walking out of the saloon at the same time? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I reckon.
Um, Now, I guess it's possible, although actually, let me ask this. Are you, like, you went to the bar, you said the bar, had your drinks, chatted with Lindsay. Were you, like, sitting in such a way as you could look out the window at the sheriff's office? That seems very reasonable for people who are being a bit cautious. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, you definitely didn't see him go into in the front door. So unless you doubt yourself, he obviously went in the back.
Now, refresh my memory. Was Morgan in the saloon when we went in?
He was, and you'd exchanged a word with him.
Thought I told him to get going.
Yeah, and he wasn't. He'd had one or two, not a huge amount. So he
Is
wasn't
he
drunk.
noticeably drunk now?
I mean, how well do you know Morgan? I guess
Well, he's been dried out and working on my ranch.
Yeah. So he doesn't look drunk. I guess he's walking. He's not like sitting there, so it's not like a big spot. But he does look a bit shook, right?
Is he walking a straight line, or is he kind of weaving it?
He is walking in a straight-ish line.
Straight-ish, straight adjacent.
Yeah, more or less,
So I'll walk up to him, and I'm going to take a good long sniff.
I mean, yeah, I mean, he smells like he's been in the barrel, right? I guess you should, it was only a couple of minutes ago, so you will like see that his vest is wet, so it's not dried out or anything like that. So you can put two and two together pretty easily, I think.
What the hell have you been doing?
Nothing. John just took offense at me having a drink. So he slapped it out of my hand. So, I mean, yeah, you'd want to ask him.
Morgan, one of the conditions of you working on my ranch is you staying sober.
Well, I am sober as a judge, I swear. But,
you smell like a distillery, so I'm afraid I think that you are stretching whatever truth is in that.
Miss Duval, hold on a minute. Now, the deputy poured me a glass and insisted I drink it, and then John smacked it out of my hand. So, someone else is guilty of putting the whiskey in front of me, and I didn't take a drop. I didn't have the chance. So, I didn't drink none. I wasn't responsible for it being put in front of me, and I'm not responsible for it being all over my vest.
Morgan, why is it always someone else's fault?
Well, in this case, miss, it is.
I'll tell you what.
It's the exception that proves the rule, or it's something. It's not my fault anyway. You just ask them. You go in there and ask John and Deputy Marquez what happened, and sure as shit they'll tell you, and they'll back up my words of they as liars.
That is exactly what I plan on doing, and I will walk up past him and grab his left ear with my left hand, and I'm going to drag him along with us, him walking backward to the sheriff's office.
Okay, well, yeah, I think he turns himself around maybe by the time you get to the step of the veranda before he trips over and kills himself. But, he is...
I don't care if he stumbles. He's not going to fall. I mean, I'm strong enough to hold him up if it comes to that. But him turning himself around, I got a firm grip on that ear. He tries to turn himself around. I will take that lobe with me.
I mean, I've got older brothers, so I'm not sure about that. But in which case, if you bring him up the steps and he falls down, you're taking the whole ear with you. So
well, I'm not going to let him fall. I'm going to let him. He'll feel the wood. He can choose to step up. Literally.
Well, I think you're going to have to do violence on him because he is not cooperating.
All right. So considering that I think Morgan is lying to me and has been drinking, I feel like I'm turning the key of survival because I'm protecting myself and my interests. That is my ranch from somebody who's supposed to be dry and who clearly is, at the very least, very wet.
Sure.
All right, so take an XP for that. And then doing a violence upon him. How do we do this?
So this is consequences.
Okay.
So you will get to do it, but there will be consequences. So I guess there's two ways this would go.
Okay.
There are witnesses,
Uh-huh.
right? In which case it'll be social consequences, or he might try to strike himself free. Which I know you can take because you're tough as old leather, but he might still try. What seems more likely to you right now?
So the social consequences mean that I would reduce my townsfolk favor by 1?
Possibly, or maybe you get a consequence of being a bully or throwing your weight around or something like that.
Yeah, I'll take it. So what consequence are we looking at?
Yeah, maybe throwing your weight around, or
all right,
is what people see.
And that's the townsfolk who see that.
I mean, anyone who's around, probably mostly townsfolk, but I guess Lindsay is looking out the window at you too, right? So I think it's a general consequence.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not specific to townsfolk then.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, you drag him in. Maybe he hits his head off a post or the jamb of the door on his way in, and
I'm careful. I wouldn't let him hit his head.
Can I ask something?
Sure.
I don't understand the system at all. I'm sorry. Because I mean, telling him off and will lose me favor with townsfolk, but dragging him into jail and make it violently doesn't lose you favor with townsfolk. I don't get it. I don't.
Well, I was.
There doesn't seem to be a lot of scale here in what you do to the NPCs. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to understand.
Sure, I gave Puckett a couple of options. I guess we kind of discussed it as well on our side. So if you think it's outsized, then we can undo that.
No, I'm just trying to understand the scale of things. How do you lose favor with when would you lose favor with a group? For what action? I mean, I don't get it. I'm sorry.
Sure.
And what does the consequence mean? Because I think and what does favor even do? What is it good for?
Well, favor is the disposition of the group towards you. So the lower it is, the less, I guess, the more, I guess, neutral is 1 and hostile is 0.
Yeah,
And then
I
when
get that, but what does it mean? What happens if I lose favor, if I have a high modifier in this?
So if you have a high favor with a faction, you can basically lead them to do things in a certain way.
Oh, okay.
So when you get to 5, you're essentially a leader, I think, or maybe 6. You're a leader in their faction. And so like when you do something fictionally to an NPC, I guess the consequences, depending on what the fiction are, can be a mix of positive or negative favor, and also possibly consequences. So it's not like there is a strict rule on it. I think we just, as a group, agree what seems most reasonable in that situation. So there's no harm in saying, well, that seems out of whack with what my character did. So maybe we bring things in line one way or the other. So I'm not sure.
I still don't understand when can I use my influence without losing it, or is that a natural consequence of using that influence on the townsfolk?
I mean, I guess if you use your influence, it is for the faction to act in a certain way, right? But when you, like, let's say, attack, in inverted commas, a member of the faction, it's gonna probably reduce your favor,
or not. Okay.
But there'll be consequences, right?
Okay, I get where this is supposed to go. I don't much like it, but okay, we're only have this session, so it's fine.
Okay. So, Pocket, why don't you describe how you do bring Morgan into the sheriff's office?
So we established that there's a bell on the door, correct?
I don't recall that we did, but
okay. I'll just open the door and say, hey, John, Morgan here is claiming the drink out of his hand, and Alonzo, Morgan here is claiming that you served that drink to begin with.
Miss Duval, can we maybe stop using my first name? I don't think we're on a first name basis.
Deputy.
Thank you.
And I'm saying it with more than a little bit of contempt.
Yeah.
Deputy.
Yes.
Morgan here says you poured him a drink.
So?
Did he drink that drink?
I don't, not a lot.
But he did have some of it?
He did, didn't he? Just
as players, I think Mark had cut across to say he had interceded before. Yeah.
Then I will say no, he hasn't.
And John, Morgan here says you knocked that drink out of his hand and that's why he smells like a distillery?
Yeah. That's right.
Well, son of a gun. And at this point, I will let loose of Morgan's ear, and I will turn to him and say, Morgan, I sincerely apologize. You were telling the truth. I didn't believe you because, well, I think a lot of people in this town would have not believed you had you told them that story, but you were telling the truth. And I admit that I was wrong. I apologize.
I think you get an earful of cussing. God damn it, Miss Duval, you ain't got no right to treat me like that.
Well, considering that the reason that you're not in this jail is because the deputy there took pity on you and I took you on as a hand. One of those conditions was you stay sober.
Well, damn it, I am sober. So you broke our deal, not me.
Technically, you're not in jail.
Treating me with respect is what I'm talking about. And he walks out, pausing only to spit on the floorboards on his way.
How? And I look at the sheriff at this point. It's like, how even did Morgan get in here?
He was
Well,
trying to get Billy out of jail, I think. He was not very competent in his attempt, so.
And I'm going to close my eyes and take a deep breath.
Well, I think now's a good time for us to all settle down. We don't need to be worrying about Morgan Bear now. We got bigger fish to fry. We got these three. We got to get them on a train tomorrow. Let's all just take a moment, relax, sit tight, and not get ourselves all worked up now. Okay? Nothing happened that can't be undone. So let's just take a seat. Now, other than our friend Morgan here, has there been any trouble while we gone, John? Deputy?
No?
It's church quiet in here.
Good. Well, I'm going to take a seat. I suggest you all do the same. I don't think there's going to be any more trouble than the town drunk. Well, then we can count ourselves lucky.
Right. I don't think Alonzo has stood up during the whole exchange.
Sheriff, I'll tell you this much. Me being here tonight and tomorrow, I sincerely hope that after we get them three on the train at 3:10, you will forgive me for putting my boot up Morgan's ass at 3:11.
Well, he is your employee, so what you choose to do on your ranch, ma'am, is your concern. That ain't none of mine. But maybe you won't. Maybe I suggest we don't need to do that in the town square.
So basically what you're saying is as long as you don't see it, you don't have to do nothing about it. And I'll grin.
The sheriff tips his hat and sits back in the chair.
I'll just start checking the rifles, the ones that are against the wall, ready for use, making sure they're all loaded, making sure they all have shells.
So does anyone want to do anything before nightfall?
Do we need to feed the prisoners?
I mean, need is a strong word, but
I mean, just to keep the peace. We don't want them clamoring all night.
yeah, you probably are expected to give them a plate, of something.
I think the sheriff will say, That sounds like a fine idea, Deputy.
Yeah, I'll fix some beans and toast.
Are you having a chat with any of them?
I think I'll have a chat with a lady. What was her name?
Maybell?
Maybell, yeah, right. Whose man I shot, and she loved it.
Yeah. Are you on first name terms with Maybell?
Yeah, I think I am.
Okay.
I think I am.
So the two guys are, eating on the bench, and Maybell is up at the bars, talking to you.
Yeah. Just asking any things she needs. She in a separate cell from the two guys, or do we have a separate cell?
Do you have a separate cell? And do you think?
I don't think we're not
Okay.
a huge town, right?
One cell seems plenty, right? One horse, one jail cell kind of town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, I think anything's bothering you?
This train is getting closer and closer, right, Alonzo?
Well, maybe it is. Shouldn't have run with this guy.
I mean, you gotta make a living, right?
Yeah, you can make an honest living.
Well, that's becoming less of an option once this mayor and whoever back in Bright City get their way, right?
I can't speak to that. I'm not a politician. I know that you started running with what's the name of the gang? With Kyle and his guys long before any rumor of this Bright City stuff came around. Don't make excuses and suit you.
Okay, you got me. I'm a bad influence on the people of this town.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm sorry you fell in with these guys, but
well, they're not so well. Most of them aren't so bad,
most of them are pretty bad.
Well, maybe a certain Billy Gammon is mean to the bone, but others ain't so bad.
I don't know. Somebody killed Jack Slater.
I know.
Do you know who it was?
It weren't us, but I know who did it.
Who did it?
Well, I might be able to show you who did it if you left me out.
I won't let you out. I can't do that.
Yeah, but you bring the murderer of Jack Slater to justice, you might get yourself a promotion.
I don't need a promotion. I need to be peace in this town for people like an 80-year-old man to be able to cross the street without getting shot in the back. That's what I need.
So let me help you.
So help me.
Well,
you know who it was.
You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
I'm going to go to the sheriff now and tell him what you said. Then we'll see how the back scratching goes.
Well, you're just shooting yourself in the foot then. You want to get you can't let him take all the credit.
I don't mind having him take all the credit. He's a good sheriff.
Come on.
And I'm turning my key of brotherhood right now. I like this sheriff.
Okay, well, maybe because you believe it so hard, Maybell believes you, or doesn't say what everyone else in town knows, which is you'd make a better sheriff.
As a player, I know that, but Alonzo doesn't believe that. It's a lot of responsibility, and also people always gun for the sheriff first.
He's your meat shield.
That's not how Alonzo would phrase it.
No.
Absolutely not.
No. So you're backing him up, huh?
Yeah.
So here you're backing up the political sheriff and his political masters a little bit, not giving the outlaws a wedge. Do you think that's worth a trade in favor?
I think that's worth a trade in favor. Yeah.
And I think in classically political outlaw fashion, you not giving her way will cause Maybelle to curse you, because damn you for being such a stickler for the law, right? Well, I guess you're just gonna have to tell your boss what's going on. I can understand that.
So you just could tell me who you think it was.
Oh, well, no, I'm cutting a deal to get out of here in
Oh, okay.
return for any
Yeah.
such
I get it.
information.
Oh, yes, I get it. Okay, I'll get the sheriff then. Or maybe I'll take her out and bring her. Oh no, I'm getting the sheriff because that other woman is over there and I don't want her near any of this.
Okay.
So I'm calling into the other room. I imagine that's not a lot. I'll say, what's your last name? It's not M.
Walter.
Walter. And we're not on first name basis, right? We're Mr. Walter, Mr. Marquez. I feel that's more appropriate.
Whatever Alonso thinks, I think. Whatever Deputy Marquez thinks. Because the sheriff's fine with it. Like, if you want to call him Damien, that's
no,
cool.
I think
Walter.
I think from what I know about these Wild West towns, they were pretty formal because that's the near of civilization they could afford. So I think being pretty formal makes sense. So
I think most people would just call him sheriff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was going with Sheriff Walter. Can you come over here, please?
Okay, before we get into that, I wonder if we should take a break. I've got 8 minutes past, so we say quarter past. Yeah. Okay. See you in there. Okay. So we're back, and I guess when before our break we were the deputy Alonso Marquez was going straight to the sheriff to bring him back to the cells to hear what the good Maybelle Westcott had to say for herself about the murder of poor Jack Slater.
Yeah, so I've called Sheriff Walter to the JSL and say Maybelle has some information about Jack's murder, Mr. Slater's murder, that she might be willing to share, but she has conditions. So I think that's more your field than mine.
I just want to add that when Deputy Marquez calls out for the sheriff, he's sitting in his chair. He's just sighs and gets up and he huddles over to the cell and ambles over to the cell. And, yeah, it's like so Maybelle said she had some information. Well, let's go talk to me. Let's go talk to her then.
She's right here.
Yeah. Maybelle, how you doing? You enjoying your beans?
Good beans, Sheriff.
Yeah, Deputy does some good beans.
Got to get that recipe. For later, because I'm going to be cooking some up myself come sundown.
Are you now?
Yeah.
Well, that I'd be interested to hear how that's going to happen.
So,
sorry,
go ahead.
So I was going to say, deputy says that you got some information.
Yeah,
Is
and
that
I
right?
think she leans into the kind of bars of the cell, like, and
Mm.
lowers her voice,
Mm.
because obviously she, like, the other two are, chatting in the corner, eating their dinner, not really paying attention to her. Well, I got information about Jack and how he came to die, uh,
Do you
and
now?
I'll share when you let me out.
Yeah, I thought it might be come to that. Well, I think you and I both know that there's only one way you're getting out of the cell. But I'm all ears. I want to hear. Tell me what this information is, and maybe I'm open to possibilities.
You got
If
the
you got some,
keys. You lost the keys, Sheriff, did you?
ha, lose the keys. No, I ain't lost them. I know exactly where they are. And he looks down to the deputies. He says, "My good deputy here is taking good care of him." Now,
Alonso is trying hard not to roll his eyes because that's not information these journalists here need, but okay.
Yeah, and I think maybe, you know, um, in that kind of, I don't know, innate criminal sense, maybe Billy's eyes flicker up from his plate.
mm,
Someone mentioned keys, which is currently his favorite word. And you see him spot them on your belt, Alonzo. Um, and like he's curious now. He wants to know what's going on
what's
here.
going on? Yeah.
Yeah, and Maybelle says, "I'll I'll tell as a free woman, but not from in here."
Uh, I was afraid of that. Well, Maybell, you and I know that your boss is perfectly happy with you, uh, with things as they are, that you got caught and you got to go see the judge. And if you got something that might change that, well, I'm perfectly happy to hear it. But uh, I can't change that situation unless you tell me what's going on. Sorry. And so what's it gonna be? Them is good beans.
Yeah, and she shakes her head and sits back down.
Hmm.
Sheriff, if she knows who that was, who did the murder, wouldn't that be more, according to the law, to find that guy or that person? I mean, if she didn't murder him, we don't need to send her for the judge, right?
Deputy. Deputy Marquez, when a person gets caught, and they'll say anything to get uncaught.
Yeah, I know. I know.
So
Now I like my bell, but I can't trust her, especially when we got her dead to rights. So
so
that's for the
Sabine,
judge to decide, anyways. Sorry,
yeah,
the
just
judge.
mechanically,
Mm,
given that Alonzo is trying to convince the sheriff of something, I'll draw your attention to the privilege.
mhm.
Uh, Because you are wise, and when you reason with the sheriff and he does not listen, you may move one favor from an affected faction from his sheet to yours.
Oh, nice.
So if you're giving him advice and he's not following it, then
Okay.
Well, is Deputy Marquez suggesting that we let Maybelle out?
Yeah. To get the information. Yeah, that's what he's suggesting. We can always lock her up, back up again, but he's not saying that while she's listening.
Okay. I just want to confirm.
Yeah, that was the suggestion. Also, he kind of likes her, not in a romantic fashion, but just, and he kind of feels bad because he shot her husband, even though she liked it. Anyway, he will turn to Maybelle and say, well, or turn to both and say, well, Maybelle, may it be easier dealing with the judge and what he thinks about you and what he will make of you if you gave us something that might improve his opinion of you.
Was that to me or to Maybelle?
No, it's to both of you, basically.
Yeah, and she, shovels a spoonful of beans into her mouth and points at the keys on your belt.
Okay, it's your decision. You might reason then with the judge and maybe tell him, and then it'll come back to us anyway. So, fine by me.
Okay, so back
I
just
wanted to say I'd like to take an XP for the key of duty for not letting the prisoner out and just upholding the law.
Okay. Sure.
Thank you.
I think I'm taking the key of silver lining because, yeah, this is bad, but the judge can make stuff, this can still come out when she's talking to the judge, right? It'll all work out fine. Nothing really bad is going to happen to people who don't deserve it.
So when you hit 4 XP, this is, I guess, for everyone, you reset to 0 and you either gain a new privilege. There's a tab called new privileges. I think these are not examples, but I guess a shopping list. And your other option is to gain 1 favor with any faction.
No, I got one. I got a privilege. I'm a born peacemaker. I think that kind of tracks with what we've seen from the characters so far. And
sure.
I also cannot unmute myself for some weird reason. Pretty sure
You're not
Elon Musk
muted.
is to blame. No, I can. I can mute myself now. Sorry. My Zoom was itchy.
Okay. So, do we think we want to fast forward to nightfall, see what else happens after dark? Mark, Puckett, do you want to do something before then, or are you happy to fast forward?
Let's fast forward, and then I'm fine with that. And then when the sun goes down, actually, John had something he wants to do.
Good to go. Fast forward.
Okay. Yeah. So Mark, let's pick up on that. I guess a good few hours have passed. It's well after sundown. The town is starting to quieten down a little bit.
Is Elwood Grant the agent of the territorial governor here in town?
It would be a shame to have an NPC who wasn't. So, I mean, if you hadn't asked after him, obviously he was going to be on the train. But
All right. Maybe staying at the hotel. Do we think, or
is there a hotel, or
do they
is
have a
it like?
hotel? Yeah, it was just like it's got
It,
a room above the saloon, I guess.
yeah. A room above the saloon sounds good.
That's cozy. Um, whoops, sorry. I think at some point, John is gonna stand up and he's just gonna walk out. And he's making his way to go see Elwood. And once he has him in front, he says, "So I just want to know that them three in there are going to get a proper trial in Bright City."
Why don't you paint a quick picture of Elwood Grant? Is he, dressed in like the best of back east city wear, or is he like?
He does, but he so yeah, he is dressed that way, but he's got some little like out west affectation. If anybody has one they want to throw out there, that's cool, go for it. It's something like it's very poserish for him to have this thing.
Spurs.
Spurs, yes. Yeah, Spurs. And he has a pipe that's like a rough wooden pipe that
Okay.
was hand carved
like a
out
clay pipe or something, an
Yeah.
affected rural thing.
Yes.
Or maybe it's not affected.
It's the way he tries to fit in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I call for him. He comes down to the saloon, I'm assuming, and his spurs jangling as he comes down the steps from up top.
Yeah. So yeah, he is cleaning that pipe. Looks at you. A fair trial, John. Of course. They'll get what's coming to them.
And I think that John is just kind of like chewing his cheek, kind of looking at him. He's angry. And he says, okay, so here's a mechanical question, Donna. So my favor with politicians is 3, part of the group.
Yeah.
Am I going to be able to, like, can I try to sway him in some way to... That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So with 3, so long as you're not looking for something he would see as outrageous, you can steer him in a certain direction. There might be a cost in terms of consequences, or a deal, But yeah, if you want to steer him one way or the other, you can probably do that with 3 favor.
So John says, I don't know about them other 2, but I don't want Billy seeing that Judge Harrington. You got to get him set up with Judge Brown. He sees Judge Harrington and it's all over.
I mean, Judge Harrington's not like a hanging automatically kind of guy. I mean, what did you boys do to him in your youth?
Well, he tends that direction.
Sure.
That's what I'm afraid of.
But, he didn't murder anyone, did he?
So is he saying that about Billy? Or about...
Yeah, that's his... I mean, it's not really a question. It's just like a rhetorical statement.
Yeah, exactly. So he looks at him and he says, let's let the judge find that out.
well, that's none of our business, right? That Jack Slater guy was none too popular, from what I hear. Always judging people.
Slater was a good man. You don't know because you ain't been around here. You come here a few years ago with your spurs and your pipe.
You want your brother to see Judge Brown now, don't you, John?
Yeah, that's why I'm
Yeah.
asking.
So mind your tongue.
So John seethes quietly.
They're going to get on that train, right?
We'll put him on that train as long as these folks in this town don't go crazy. We'll put him on the train, but you promise me he's going to see Judge Brown.
Judge Brown.
All
Yeah,
right.
my word.
Donna,
Yeah.
could I interject here? How does it work with negotiation, like in terms of acting upon another player's interests? Does that other player have to be in the scene, or can it be that, let's say, for example, if the sheriff had a deal with Elwood Grant,
Oh, okay.
and and with Duke Cahill, that these outlaws were going to go through this
Judge Harrington.
with this judge, and that
Okay.
this is kind of how the sheriff has his thumb on Mayor Dix,
Okay.
and that this would be kind of interfering in that. If
Okay.
that were the case, how would this work?
Yeah. So usually, like when two-player characters are competing, it's a negotiation between the two of you. And having this be removed one step it seems fine to me. It's just like the fictional positioning is a little bit removed, right? So like fictionally speaking, right now, well, maybe Grant will say something like, well, Judge Harrington is on the docket right now. So I mean, he'll be basically seeing what he can do. It's not quite as easy as all that, after all, right? So that's between.
Are you cool with this, Mark? Are you cool if this happens? Yeah, let's do it.
I was just going to put in the chat. This is so awesome. Thank you for doing that, Jonathan. It's a lovely
My
twist.
pleasure.
So when you negotiate, basically, it sounds to me like, Jonathan, that the sheriff is like imposing his will on John, right?
I kind of was thinking it the other way around.
Okay.
I kind of was thinking it that this is the status quo.
Okay.
And that the John is trying to upset this status quo, which is imposing on the sheriff's kind of deal
Previous
and
arrangement
situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I kind of got that from the background questions with Mayor Dix and how.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So basically, in that case, the acted upon player is you, Jonathan. So you're, John is like enforcing his will upon the sheriff.
So that's the way I saw it. Yeah.
So the player being acted upon states the price to allow the other player to take the action, and it's a negotiation, so it can be like multiple things on both sides if that's what you agree to. So yeah, that's completely in your court. Maybe to make it a little bit easier for you all to play, Jonathan, do you want to be like Grant right now in the play and kind of push back a little bit in that regard, as his, if he is kind of your agent in this right now?
Yeah. I'm happy to do that if you are, Donna and Mark. Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
So yeah, maybe start with your opening price then for for the price on John Gammon to get his way.
Yeah. So he kind of like plays with his pipe. He's like, well, it ain't that simple, John. This is going, everybody's got a price. Now let me see what are you willing to pay for this help? What can you offer us?
Well,
Well, I can say
and
if it's gonna help you, this ain't gonna look too good with Duke, and his boys. Could cause a bit of trouble in the town. If they go down, especially if you don't think that they're guilty, and this judge out here, Judge Brown's pretty hard nosed. Now I gotta look after the governor's interests here, and he ain't. I don't want him to be none too popular with the townsfolk and with Duke. Duke has a lot of pull here. So if I tell them that this, that it was you, John, who was making these demands,
Well,
and it weren't me.
so I'm just trying to I'm just trying to get a handle on what the price is. Is he looking for me to
He's looking for you. He's looking for. He doesn't want to take the blame for this. He doesn't. He's saying that
Elwood doesn't want to take the blame for this?
Yeah, he doesn't. He wants
Yeah.
he doesn't want to harm the governor's interests. He doesn't want to take the blame for this. So if you can find a way to shield him and the governor from this, then he will be inclined to help you. But and I think one of the ways is like he will offer you up to Duke Cahill as the scapegoat. Like, so you'll take a -1 favor with the outlaws, I think, is kind of how I'd see that.
So -1 with the outlaws because
Duke Cahill wouldn't want his boys being hung or seeing a hard-nosed judge, and wouldn't look time on it. And he'd find out through Elwood that it was you who put the screws to Elwood, and that it was that you were going to cause trouble, and so he had no choice but to protect the governor by doing this. Something to that effect. I mean, unless or if you've got another option, if you've got something else that you can offer him to
did I mishear you then earlier, Mark? Were you not looking for the more lenient judge?
I was looking for the more lenient fair judge.
Yeah.
I thought you were looking for the
hanging judge.
I thought you were looking for the hanging judge or for the
specifically for Billy. He was looking to have Billy get the lenient
Billy
judge.
My bad. I
that's okay.
That. Yeah.
Now, as far as
the setup was that that it was likely that they were going to get off, and the townsfolk were really upset about that. So that's why I thought that
either way, though, if they get off, and someone needs to be blamed for that, then John says, you can fix the blame right on me if you need to, whatever you need to do. I'll take the fall for you.
Well, if it's that way, then it's the politics. So then instead of -1 faction with the outlaws, it's -1 faction with the politicians.
Yeah.
So the governor will put the blame on you and the townsfolk, and that on you and it might maybe even tie you to Duke Cahill. Like,
Yeah.
if you're looking for a lenient, which is something that you wouldn't like, I know, John. So how does that sound? Does that
Absolutely.
work?
Wherever you want to put the blame, yep, that'd be fine.
Yeah. Okay. So so Elwood goes, well, we'll see what we can do then. It sounds like we got an understanding. The governor is going to be protected, and it may be none too popular around here. John, are you going to be able to handle that?
Yeah. Not too popular around here as it is.
Well, okay. I'll see what I can do.
Okay.
I think you might add as well that, like, you might want to have a word to the sheriff, though. I'm not too sure he'll be happy with that.
Well, I'll let him find out when the time's right.
So the price of that deal is -1 favor with the politicians for John, right? Okay. Cool. Okay. So still positively regarded, but maybe now like no longer protected by the governor, no longer part of the circle, right? Okay. Puckett, I think Clementine needs to get a visit from someone maybe she's not too familiar with. Lindsay Hale, saloon owner and merchant. If that sounds okay.
Fine by me.
Yeah. And there's
Is it nighttime officially yet? Or?
Yeah, definitely nighttime. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm assuming that we have the door bolted.
Yeah, whatever seems reasonable, back for the sheriff and for the deputy to actions to have taken.
Okay, so she's knocking at the door.
Yeah, or if you think you're going out, she can meet you out in a patrol or whatever you think is most fitting.
I've spent enough time out here to know that nighttime is generally when bad things start happening. So, nah, I'm going to be staying inside. I'm not going out there and turning into a hostage.
Yeah, so I guess you open that slot in the door, and Lindsay Hale is there, and I think she knows that you would be much more likely to think that she is here for either the sheriff or for John, but she disabuses you of that, informed guess before you even have a chance to turn around.
And she can see my eyebrow raised through the slit in the door.
Can I buy you a drink, Clementine, or maybe sit out here so we can have a quick word?
Do I see anyone on either side of her or behind her?
No, there's no one looking to bushwhack you. I think that's a fair assessment for Clementine, right?
Yeah. Miss Hale, I'm afraid I'm not drinking right now. It's getting toward that time when, I might need to be sober real quick. So I find it's better to stay sober than to get sober. What's on your mind?
So do you like join her outside, or are you looking to have this
Oh,
conversation?
this is through the door. I'm just like
Okay.
trying to get a feel for what she wants to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I think you and I are both people of business. You know, we like looking after our interests. We don't like people interfering with our business. So I think we might.
Is this about Morgan?
Morgan? No, no, hell no.
I mean,
Listen, you want to keep him
honestly,
sober? I will like not serve him if that is your wish.
as far as I can tell, that's the only business we might have in common.
Well, business of the town is what I'm talking about.
So they sent you to see if I might be amenable to having them boys swing.
They, who's they? No one sent me. I'm here to discuss what you think about the future of our town.
I think it'll be here tomorrow, Miss Hale.
Yeah, tomorrow, you're further sighted than that.
Well, given how things are right now, I don't think much beyond the next 5 minutes, to be honest with you, Miss Hale. Tomorrow I'll be thinking about, a year or two down the line.
Well, I think that's foolish because there's land to be had tonight.
Go on.
So you are interested in talking business tonight?
When land is involved and I can increase the size of my herd, I'm always interested.
Okay, well, why don't you step out here so we can talk like civilized folk and, not like I'm talking to a priest.
One moment. And I'll slide the hatch shut, the slot shut. And I'll look. Who's currently in the sheriff's office right now?
I think both of us.
I think the sheriff is, yeah.
Yeah.
Is
Sheriff is in.
got it. His usual post.
Mhm.
Just kicking back.
Alonso's cleaning the bean plates.
Deputy, I wonder if you might be able to help me with a matter.
Listening.
There is a caller outside who wishes to engage me in a discussion about a land offer.
Okay.
But being as how we're holding 3 people waiting on a train for a judge who may or may not decide is to hang them, I don't much feel like going outside without some backup, and regardless of the differences you and I may have, I know your aim is true.
So does Lindsay Hale. And I might not be the best person to come with you there. She hates my guts.
Oh, is that Lindsay? Oh, is that Lindsay? Tell Lindsay to come on in.
Sheriff, we got the doors bolted for a reason.
Lindsay's ain't gonna be no problem.
I think it's better if she's inside and we two of us are outside. Odds are better that way.
Yeah, let's.
You make a good point there, Deputy.
I occasionally do.
Just do me a favor and cover the door as I unbolt it, just in case.
Yeah, I take out a rifle and just cover the door.
And
I'll unbolt it and open it. Come on in, Miss Hale.
No, we're sitting outside because I'm not. Mr. Walter, how are you? We're discussing business for us, not for them.
Not
I
not
don't
for
see.
who? Not for who?
I hear you got criminals in there. I don't want to be discussing my business within earshot of them.
Well, lucky for you, they ain't going to be here much longer. So, like the sheriff said, why don't you come on inside? We can have a civilized chat by the fire, have ourselves some coffee.
So she is not going to step inside.
No. That's it.
At
Oh,
that
that's a
point,
shame. That's a shame, Miss Hale. That's a shame, Lindsay. I was looking forward to having one of our usual regular chats. You got business? Is what kind of business?
Oh, just some land, like Mr. Val said. It doesn't concern anyone except her and me.
Right. Well,
But if you're too attentive to the here and now and not thinking of your future wealth and well-being, Mr. Val, then I guess we'll be neighbors.
at this point, I'm going to say, Deputy, I know you're not, and I'm going to lean in to Deputy. Say, Deputy, I know that you're not as trusting as the sheriff here, but this doesn't seem like it's exactly above board, does it?
Seems a bit odd, yeah. It does.
All right.
I mean, Lindsay has the saloon here. I don't know if she really would risk her entire life and livelihood to try something that seems a bit rather risky. But you're a business owner, you might know her better than me.
So, Deputy, what I'm going to ask you to do may seem a little unusual, but I reckon as how you're somebody that I can trust to do it. I'm going to leave my rifle and my shotgun in here. And anybody starts pounding on that door telling you to open it up because they've got me as a hostage, don't open it, even if they shoot me. And don't let the sheriff do it neither.
Well, it's his office, Mr. Barr, but may I ask why you're willing to risk your life to get these people on a train?
I think that was to you, Clementine.
Yeah, that's to Clementine.
Yeah.
And you see me thinking.
Yeah. I do want to add something to Lindsay while you guys are talking, but I'll do that after.
Honestly, Deputy, the law matters. We can disagree about which parts of it matter, but when it comes to a man being gunned down, I think that unless he was armed and holding a pistol, that's not the kind of thing we want around here. I'm not even a fan of gunfights or showdowns or any of that nonsense. Too many bullets make folk edgy. I want a nice, quiet town where I can do my business. And maybe some corners get cut here and there. But whatever you may think of me, I agree with you on the big stuff. I don't want people getting murdered here. Makes it hard to do business.
I guess we found some common ground after all, Mr. Ball.
We don't have to like each other to agree.
Yeah, I'll watch your rifle. If you get taken hostage, we'll deal with that.
Thank you, Deputy. And just so you know, if you have to shoot me, won't be any hard feelings.
I'll try not to shoot you, Mr. Val.
I appreciate
I
that.
might want to, but it would be against the law.
The way I see it, you are the law. And I'll smile. So, Jonathan, you said you had something you wanted to do with Lindsay?
Yeah, I think because I think it works that that conversation is not heard by the sheriff or Lindsay. So like let's say that the sheriff has gone round to the door, like, and is just kind of holding the, like, talking the door slightly ajar through the, and he's like, now Miss Hale, this business, this ain't got nothing to do with letting these prisoners go now. Do it?
Not especially, Mr. Walter. I don't care much for their hides.
Mhm.
You know me.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, no, that's fine with me. You know, law's got to do what the law's got to do, and that means then folks get on the train and go see the judge. And if your business don't concern that, then that's fine with me.
I'm all
And
for
he
the law.
tips his hat, and it's like, well, we might come by for a drink a bit later on again, but I'll and he sees like that Miss Duval is coming. He's like, I'll leave you in Miss Duval's tender hands. And he kind of
Tender?
looks.
Sheriff, if I slapped you with one of them, you wouldn't find it so tender.
Well, I was speaking metaphorical.
Mhm. So yeah, I guess if Clementine is going outside, you know, maybe she hears the door bolt behind her.
I'm assuming that's the deputy's doing, but yes.
One question, Luke, can we get to the roof of the prison from inside? Because right now I really want to keep a lookout over the town and see what's going on.
Well, I mean, there's going to be windows, right? It looks like more like an adobe than a wooden standard Western house to me.
Okay.
In the Seco Creek town.
There's no reason there wouldn't be a ladder up to the roof, though.
Yeah, I don't see any, but let's assume there's a hatchway, right? But that's you know, that's a double-edged sword, I guess, right? If there's a hatchway on this flat roof.
I know. Well, you know, I like the idea that there is a hatchway. I will look at the sheriff and say, Sheriff Walters, I'm going up the roof. Something smells odd here, and it's not what the beans made with the prisoners.
Yeah, I don't smell nothing, but knock yourself out.
Yeah, you're good with keeping an eye on the prisoners, right?
He just kind of looks at you like, you know, you don't need to ask that, deputy. And it's
so
like, all good.
Here is a question, and maybe it's just paranoid, but where are the keys?
I have them.
You're bringing them up to the rooftop?
Well, yeah, I think I think the sheriff asked, well, maybe, you know, if you're going up on the roof there, deputy, maybe it might be an idea that I hold the keys for a little while you're up there.
And I trust you, so I give you the keys.
Yeah, of course.
It feels a sensationally bad decision, but hey, not there for making good decisions.
Okay. Awesome. Okay.
I will transfer the burden of the key to your tab.
Yeah.
So you can go and play with that.
Okay. So yeah, outside. Yeah, perfectly safe.
So, Miss Hale, this business arrangement that you wish to discuss and didn't want to chat about in front of the town's law?
Well, I'll be frank, Miss Duval. I and
Thought your
a lot
name
of
was Lindsay.
Clementine. I am sick of the county, and I think a lot of my fellow business people feel the same way. You know, the governor gets his fingers in every pie. He runs the show. The mayor, the sheriff are all in his pocket. And I think it is high time for this town to incorporate so that locals can run the show. You know, we can elect a proper sheriff, whoever that may be.
And
I'm wondering how you feel about that prospect.
well, are you talking about incorporating the city or the region?
Well, as far out as we want, maybe out to the boundaries of your land, give you a stake in the town.
Of course, just incorporating to the present boundaries of my land would not include further expansion. Or would that be something that would also need to be voted on down the line?
Well, better to be inside the tent pissing out, right? If you're outside, you don't get to vote on, I don't want that kind of trouble. If I'm inside the tent, I'll try to make sure, if we're doing a deal, that you stay out if you want to be out. I'm just looking for your support to incorporate so that we can, run this place ourselves.
And now I understand why you did not want to discuss this inside the office. And here I thought you had some shady reason for talking to me.
Well, some people can color any discussion as shady if their interests are not at heart. Listen, I like Mr. Walter, but as far as I can see, him and the mayor are deep in each other's pockets. And if I can break that up, that is fine.
Interesting. And I take it you're thinking about replacing the mayor as well?
Well, we'd have to have a vote if we incorporated, wouldn't we?
So basically, all you want me to do is give a nod, as it were.
Well, I don't know. Maybe the details, maybe we need to send County Hall a signal as to that we're taking ownership of our rights.
Miss Hale, I think I can agree to your proposal. But as these things always go, I would have a condition or two.
What's yours?
You say you want the governor and his hands out of this town, correct?
Yeah.
So would I be correct in supposing that means the town's boundary would naturally exclude Elwood Grant's land?
Well, we can draw a squiggly line on a map that that avoids his land.
I mean, it just seems that if you want the governor out of the business here, you might want his representative the area out of the business as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it makes sense to me that we would keep a match.
Who are you considering for mayor?
I mean, I've got some ideas. You know, you're a trusted member of the local community. You know,
Miss Ale, I have a ranch to run. I cannot be both mayor and a ranch owner.
well, that that may be as it is. I guess we want someone who lives in town then. Do you have any people you trust?
I got a long list of people I distrust.
Well, let's not mention them then.
What about that teacher?
Miss Ruiz?
Yeah.
I mean, I can see it, but do folk respect a teacher enough?
For me, it's less a matter of respect and more a matter of more of her not really having been around long enough to pick up any bad habits, as you might say.
Yeah,
I may have called her a tenderfoot earlier this afternoon, but doesn't mean she wouldn't be a good person who can kind of smooth over rough edges. And I don't think anybody would have thought to bribe her yet.
Well, I guess clean and well-intentioned is a good place to start.
Lindsay, if you are planning on drawing the boundaries of this town to exclude Elwood Grant, and you're willing to consider Miss Ruiz there as a potential mayoral candidate, that's something that I could lend my weight to.
Well, can't promise how the vote would go, but you know, if we
A consideration is all that I ask, and just I don't think anybody here would cry too much if Elwood Grant's land wasn't in the town.
okay, well, I think let me ask first, you know, in terms of sending a signal to the county, what would you have in mind? Is excluding Elwood Grant the signal, or would that too far away for you?
I would consider holding a town meeting. Or at least a meeting of those folks that you know would be inclined to support such a thing.
Mm-hmm. And could I give you some advice for that meeting? Because I don't want to be the one saying it.
Should I be quiet? Maybe bring a few fewer guns?
No. The townsfolk don't want the likes of Duke Cowell's people running roughshod over their sensibilities and getting away with it. So you can either say that this, and she points into the jail, this is the last time that it's going to that it would happen, or you can make sure that it doesn't happen tonight at all. I'll leave that up to you. Whatever you think will play best.
Oh, this will be the last night something like this happens.
Fair enough.
I will have words with Duke himself if it comes to something like this again. And he and I go back before this place was even a place.
Mm-hmm. So I think think the outcome here is for your favor with the politicians to go down by 1 and with the merchants to go up by 1.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yep. Okay.
And does that also I feel like that hits my key of survival. And I feel like this also hits key of the iconoclast, because I can't imagine that the sheriff would be happy about this. Or can you only hit 1 key per scene?
I mean, I would think for the key of the iconoclast, you're trading off interests. You're not doing something that no one else approves of, right? That's how I'd read that. So maybe just survival. You are definitely looking after yourself here.
All right. So that's 4, and I gain a privilege.
Or a favor. I was going to suggest we take a quick break now, so 5 minutes, if that sounds okay, and then we'll come back for our end game. Yeah. Okay. See that. Okay. So yeah, I think we have Clementine kind of finish up her discussion with Lindsay. Back inside the jail, Alonzo is maybe surveying the town from his perch up on top of the office. I think for Alonzo, maybe you see some people who have had a little bit too much to drink maybe and are thinking about doing the wrong thing, but I think when they see you with the rifle on top of the roof, they might have second thoughts. They might just go home or go back inside for another drink.
Yeah, we'll call to them, good evening, something like,
Yeah.
this is totally fine. Whatever they're doing, this is not a threat. They are not thinking about rushing the jail, clearly because I'm up here and I have a gun. That would be foolish, but also because they are good citizens. They wouldn't rush to attack me. I mean, I'm kind of their friend now, aren't I?
Yeah, and probably it's too dark to see how embarrassed they are, but
Yeah.
Okay. I think inside, right, before Clementine comes back in, we do see the sheriff, look at the cells, look at the keys, and wonder, weigh things up. Do we get or does he like mumble to himself? Do we get any kind of sense on camera of what is going through his mind?
I think just that he's lying back in his chair and he's holding the keys and just kind of sliding them along the chain and seeing and just thinking. It's clearly he's thinking and considering, and he leans kind of forward and he's got the keys and he's just and then he sighs and just puts them on his belt and sits back again and picks up the paper.
Okay. And I think John Gammon needs to get back from his meeting with your favorite representative of the territorial governor, Elwood Grant, right?
So John comes stiff-legged walking across the little mud street over to the door to the sheriff's office, and he pounds on it and he says, "Walter, let me in."
Sheriff gets up out of the chair and goes to the door and lets in John. He says, "How was your walk, John?"
"It was shit." And then he walks back to these cells and he says, "Come here, Billy. I got to talk to you. Come here."
Yeah, so you drawing him over to, he's still inside the cell, right? Just kind of leaning up against him. Time's getting late, John. What you got planned?
Does he come closer to me?
Yeah, he comes
Like-
closer.
If he's like within reach, then John thrusts his arms through the bars and pulls him up to the bars, like kind of rings his bell. Then he says, "Did you shoot that old man?"
And he laughs at denial, but I wonder how, does John know exactly when his brother is lying to him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he slaps him and he's trying to like pull him back up against the bars. And he says, "Sheriff, give me them keys. I need to talk to my brother."
Now, John, you know I can't do that. You can talk to him fine just from there, can't you?
And John says, "God damn it, Billy." And he slaps him again. And then he pushes him away.
I think we could do at this point is John, come here a sec. And he kind of beckons John over to like
John
away
walks
from the
over there.
cell. So, now listen, John. If you're concerned about your brother's welfare, well, trust me, it's going to be fine. The judge will do what he's going to do, and justice will be done. But I have a feeling that your brother's going to be just fine.
So John's staring at the sheriff, like, "What in the hell are you talking about?"
Well, you're concerned about your brother, yeah? You want him to be do you want you want justice to be done, yeah?
He needs to get what's coming to him.
Yeah, well, all right then. And I'm telling you, as sheriff, that's what's going to happen.
And John says, "Shit." And he goes and sits down at his cold coffee cup.
So, do we want to fast forward through the rest of the night to, I don't know, 2:45 or however late you want to leave for the train? I mean, it's only across the street, right? That's the it's a 5 minutes walk at most.
Yeah, we don't want to be standing around like
Yeah.
fools on the train station.
Yeah.
So maybe we can get the sheriff to stop the train, tell them to wait for us while we march over. That might be the best idea.
Yeah. I guess the train will, like, you'll hear the train coming, right?
Oh.
And it's going to stop here in any case.
Oh.
So, yeah, you could just wait till it arrives and then hightail it, right?
I feel that it would be good to have someone there to stop the train, because somebody might try to, I don't know, delay us.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then the train might go off, and that would be like, then we're standing there with a bunch of criminals like, "Oh, wow, my train, I seen you."
We could have talked to the station master about holding the train.
Oh, that's a good point. Do we have a station? I don't feel we have
Every train station does.
We have one, but we have one.
I mean, maybe someone that's a part-time job, maybe, right?
Okay, it's Morgan.
It is. I guarantee you it's not Morgan.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, you send someone over to just make sure that the station master knows what the deal is, and obviously everyone in town knows what the deal is.
Yeah.
But I think, as you're, who is that? Who is the gopher in this sheriff's office?
Well, I think it's. I'll go for it. Go for it, John.
No, the gopher who does what?
who runs to the station master just to make sure he knows that he is stopping the train and
John
making
will do
sure it
that.
doesn't leave. Okay.
If that's okay with. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you do, when you're walking over, you do see Duke Cal sitting at the barber shop having a nice fresh shave. Yeah, yeah. Which coincidentally on the map looks like the perfect place to keep an eye on whoever comes out of the sheriff's office and whoever goes into the railroad station. How do you like that? And the other option was the church, I guess, but maybe not. And he like doffs his missing cap at you as you eyeball him from across the street. And there's a couple of his people with him, right? People you recognize. Acting real casual, but not too casual, right?
Mm-hmm. So John looks at him and then looks away, looks at the ground as he makes his way back to the sheriff's office if he needs to, or maybe he's just waiting there.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess you let the sheriff know that the station master is definitely not letting that train leave without you, right? You let him know who else is in town?
Whew. That's a very interesting question that you asked there, Gunna. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he'll tell him.
Let's hear it.
Sheriff, the train ain't gonna go nowhere, but there might be a bigger problem than the train running early. Cahill's in town. He's got a posse with him over at the barber shop.
You say he's got a posse. How many men has he got?
Could I tell? Gunna?
It was like 2 or 3, like not a huge group.
It's a small posse.
Yeah.
A minor posse.
His brother, who obviously has to be called Earl, because the whole family are nobility, right?
Oh, that's hilarious.
And a couple of other guys who you maybe know, maybe don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sheriff, there's enough.
Well, a small posse means one thing, and a big posse means another. Small posse, I ain't too concerned. That ain't no problem. We'll be fine.
Yeah, I tend to think so too, because there's town folk. They will be about, and I'm pretty sure they won't stand for a posse to try anything. Just now we need to play that family in one of your other Western things, Donna.
Sorry, that was the most ridiculous name I could think of.
It is a fine name.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so let's do the thing. Let's grab our guns, let's grab our prisoners, and let's march them.
As the deputy says.
Let's march them to the station and let's get them out of this town. Do we go with them? Alonso clearly knows this, but do we go with them to Bright, whatever?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it, Donna.
I think it's the term in the game, as far as I remember, is put them on the train. Maybe there's a marshal or the county sheriff.
Or maybe we could get our sheriff and John to accompany them.
Yeah. I think whatever you decide makes sense.
Mistival and Alonso will hold the fort, so to speak.
Yeah. So what do you? or if the town is too hot, then you all jump on the train and run, right?
If
But
there's
you
a
know,
problem with
if you're
Duke,
handing them over to someone, then that is fine also.
Yeah, I think we got the impression that they're handing over. I mean, the deputy doesn't want to go to Bright. He wants to stick around. Sorry, did I say deputy? I meant the sheriff. I don't know what I said. I meant the sheriff. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and here's another question: are the prisoners in like manacles, or are they just walking? I have no idea what the medical situation is like in
the
the Wild
prisoners
West.
that we're taking to the train, or the ones that are already on the train?
The ones you're taking, your prisoners.
Oh yeah, they'd be in manacles, leg irons at the least.
Yeah, yeah.
If we have them, if we don't, then we'll just use rope.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So you're walking them over, and I think you are inevitably passing by the barber shop, and Duke Cahill, stands up, and there's still like wisps of like shaving soap on his ears. And he puts on a hat because you can't stand out in public without a hat, can you? And he's got a hard stare for you all, and I think he starts to walk over, and like it's not like an advance of the four of them, but like Earl is kind of keeping up, and the other two guys are kind of leaning against the fence at the barber shop. So it's not like a show of force. It's just like coming over to chat, right? Other things may happen. Who knows?
I'm just going to shift the position of the rifle that I'm holding just enough. Say, morning, Duke.
Morning, Clem. How's things?
Fair to middling. You?
Yeah. It might be rain later. Cattle are answering for some nicer weather, huh?
If it's not raining, it's hot as hell.
There might be some actual work to do tomorrow, huh? It'd be a lot easier with more hands, wouldn't it?
Well, it depends on the hands. I find that if you've got 2 or 3 good men, you can do just as much as you could with 5 or 6.
Yeah, well, you took all the good people, Clam. I got the shit out of luck at the unemployment line.
Well, maybe you should think about paying him a little bit more, Duke.
Maybe I should.
And I'm saying that with a smile on my face.
Yeah, he is happy to give and take the barbs where this is concerned. Any of those you could spare, just for a few days, maybe?
Oh, I could give you Morgan.
Huh. Well, I meant the 3 right there, but hey, we'll take Morgan if he's dry.
Oh, these 3 are otherwise indisposed, Duke.
Is that right, Sheriff?
I'm afraid so, Duke.
But will I be seeing him like by the end of the month?
Well, I think that rain's going to clear up fairly soon.
Well, who's going to be judging over in Bright City this weather?
Well, as you know, Duke, the judge is going to be the name escapes me, but it was not the one that Edgar agreed to change. It was the
Harrington,
original one.
the hanging judge.
Yeah, Judge. Oh, yeah, Judge. It's you know that it's as well as I do, Duke, that it's Judge Harrington. But Judge Harrington and I get along. Same with the governor, and so that's how what he says is gonna be just fine.
and Duke like lays a sideward glance at John at the mention of Judge Harrington. Judge Harrington, huh?
And I think that John is just glaring now at the sheriff after he said that.
Mm. And I think could I is this a point where I could buy off my key of duty to show like a flashback that that there's a deal between this arrangement that we kind of alluded to earlier with Edgar, that Duke and he and the governor have and Mayor Dick, sorry, have a deal that this judge is going to do what they say, like that Duke Cahill has his influence with this judge.
Okay. Yeah, so that that the governor is kind of in hoc to Cahill as well.
Yeah,
yeah,
like or at least the mayor. Yeah, at least there's an alliance. Yeah, and that the sheriff is kind of helping to mediate that.
But does that mean that Harrington is indeed a hanging judge, but just not for you guys?
Just not for us. Yeah. But even though Harrington's not going to be the judge now,
yeah.
But he's going to be. He might be pissed though, because he thought he was he thought he was part of this arrangement. Now he's going to be sidelined. What's he getting paid for? I guess if he's getting paid, it doesn't. Maybe he won't complain. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
so what does John do with this news that the hanging judge is going to be trying his brother?
Yeah. So, I mean, he heard what the sheriff said, but now in the sheriff's office, but it all sounds like bullshit now. But so Cahill is not acting like he thinks anything like this is a good deal, right?
Yeah, but I think he is looking at John.
Yeah.
And maybe John takes that as, I can't make a move without John, because then it'll be 5v3. Or, I think you can make John take that as, whichever way you want to. But yeah, obviously internally, Duke Cahill goes, okay, fine, my people are safe. They're going to be coming back to me pretty shortish. But maybe he thinks you're the problem, or maybe he thinks, maybe you think he needs you. I don't know.
Just to clarify, I was going to say, Donna, that I'm buying it off to get the favor of Duke Cahill, like to
to bump yourself up to 4.
To bump the 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
thought that was implied, but
I
just wanted to clarify. Yeah.
To establish this real quick, are a lot of the townsfolk out there? Because I know Marquez has a high rating with the townsfolk.
I mean, I think there's like simmering, but now this looks like something, and people are standing on the walkway, and maybe some people who were out last night are going like, can we do something now? What's going on?
And I also will turn to Mr. Val and say, can you take care of this side of the road, and points to Kyle and John and whoever, and I take care of this side of the road. And points to the
deputy.
top.
I was kind of hoping that I could handle that while you get these boys to the train.
Now let me handle the townsfolk.
You do that. I'm sure with Duke Cahill and I knowing each other so long that, well, we're just having a friendly chat, right, Duke?
Absolutely. I don't want you to miss your train.
I appreciate that.
And the train is definitely stopped now and waiting, right? There's steam building up and people getting aboard, and it's taking on water.
Yeah. And I think the sheriff at this point is like kind of like, well, guess we better go catch our train. We'll be seeing you, Duke. Don't cause no trouble now.
Sabine, what is Alonzo doing with the arrayed townsfolk?
Yeah, I'm wondering if I go buy off my key of duty.
I have a question for Sabine.
Sign the key of brotherhood, because this doesn't seem right. This whole chumminess and stuff like this. This is not the law. This is not right. This is kind of no. I think he's kind of I will buy off. I think what did I flout the letter of the law? I will turn in my badge. I think at this point I'm ready to say, okay, this is just corrupt. And he turns to Sheriff Walter and says, Sheriff, this is just corruption from start to finish. You know, I've never really wanted to believe that. I never did. I always wanted to be on your side. I always wanted to uphold the law in this town and the way you were doing it. But this is just corrupt. What's happening here is not right. These boys getting off for scot-free after that murder, that is not right. That is not proper. And I will use these. How many thingies do I take in advance? Oh, yeah. You know what? I will bump up my townsfolk connection to 5. And I will tell them, people of this town, there has been injustice happening here. We have no justice from this man, points to the sheriff. I think it's time to take the law into our own hands. I didn't see that coming, but yeah.
Out of left field, for sure. Puckus, what does Clementine do with that new information?
I mean, I did tell Lindsay this would be the last time it would happen.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not like I
mean, she's not going to be upset if you say this is the last time, or it's not going to happen this time either, you know.
I think I'm just inclined to raise an eyebrow at the deputy, and I guess I'll back the deputy's play.
Mark, how about John?
So John will put his hand on his pistol and he says, Marquez, you need to get these folks to back down.
No, Gammon, we won't back down this time. We back down too often. Let people run roughshod over us. We're not this time. This town has had enough of this dealing, nodding, nudging, everybody being buddy-buddy with a criminal, with the people who are the plague upon this town. I'm taking off my badge and I'm throwing it on the ground now, just before dramatic effect.
Deputy Marquez, I'm very disappointed.
Yeah, you better not train Damian Walters and get the hell out of here. This town don't want you no more.
Get on that
Sheriff,
train.
that part's true. This town does not want you here. This town wants you here even more than they don't want me here.
Well, that I ain't think that true. You know, no one said anything to me about that.
And at this point, I'll yell out, Lindsay Hale, can you come out here for a moment?
Yeah, I guess she makes her way out, through the quickly arming members of the townsfolk. you know,
This is
old
Misael.
pistols and shotguns and whatever else they have to hand are
Hmm.
making their way to the front of the crowd.
Lindsay, you remember our discussion last night when I told you this would be the last time something like this was going to happen?
You did indeed say that, even though you had other options.
Well, this turns out to be what you might call a rapidly evolving situation. But the sheriff here thinks that people like him and approve of the way that he is doing his job. I informed him that was, in fact, not so, and that people thought even less of him than they do of me. And I wondered if you would be willing to corroborate that sentiment.
I think the backbone of this community, the townsfolk and those merchants would indeed approve your message.
I do, just a point of order, I do have positive regard of the merchants.
You
And
do?
And Lindsay does have romantic intentions towards me.
That's true.
She could have romantic intentions toward you, just not your job. You can love somebody and not like the way they're doing their job.
And
They can like you, but not in that position, not anymore. Maybe.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying.
I mean,
Okay,
Sheriff Wolt, I think she speaks to that. I think.
So she says she's telling Sheriff Walters that the town doesn't like him, and that they don't think he's good at his job.
Well,
in front of the whole town and the criminals, and while we're having this chat on the way to taking these criminals on the way to jail, on the way to Bright City to get tried.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So So can we?
You're not taking these criminals to Bright City, though. I mean, that was
yes, we are.
That was kind of the point here. You are
No, yes, we are. What do you think we're doing, deputy?
I'm not your deputy any longer.
Well, deputy, I think you're acting awful hasty. Why can't I look? We just it weren't even me.
Get
Clementine
on that
here.
train and get out of this city and let the chips fall where they may. You're finished here. Leave.
At least as sheriff.
Now.
John pulls his pistol and says, "Enough of this horse shit. You get your asses on the train."
And he
starts pushing these three criminals.
Okay. Oh, I'm getting your face.
Yes.
I'm getting your face. No, I say no. This is over. These people go to the Pride City, they'll be let go.
Well,
unless
that's
you're
the judge
to back up them words, you just let us through.
Yeah, and the sheriff pulls out his gun too.
I pull out my gun too.
Yes. Okay. So, if we're going to violence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a mob of townsfolk who are backing up Alonzo and Clementine. There's the Cahill gang, the free ones who are, I guess, backing up their members with John and the sheriff.
Am
I?
Yeah, I'm going to use my privilege to basically say, Duke, situation's evolving mighty quickly. You might want to sit this one out.
Okay. So preventing them from getting involved, right?
Yes.
Obviously there's some kind of carrot or some kind of stick being used there because it doesn't look like his interest is served in standing.
The enticement is, do you want to walk out of here alive? Because there's a lot more of them than there are of you.
Cut your losses and live to fight another day. Okay.
Not even live to fight another day. Cut your losses to become a member in good standing of this town.
Okay. So that makes it John and the sheriff against the town, basically. So the question then is, does John Gammon stand down? Let's put you on the spot first.
Yeah, no,
Mark,
I
yeah.
love it. No.
Wait, I'll go for it.
Unless you, yeah.
No, that's cool. I was just wondering if my position with my favor with the outlaws how does that work with the privilege?
Yeah, so I think the privilege kind of trumps everything else.
Mhm.
Because the favor is influence, right? And
Yeah.
but it doesn't overcome this privilege.
Right. So I think I'll just add then that the sheriff gives when he sees does Duke Cahill back down, like, noticeably after Clementine,
Yeah, I
he
think
leaves or he starts to.
yeah, I think he rubs his cheek and says, "Oh yeah, I got to go back for a second shave there. I'll see you later, Clem, and we get some work done on the ranch."
Tip my hat and say, I'll help you mend your fences. As always, it's what good neighbors do.
Yeah, so the sheriff is just giving him a disappointed look, like it's not, if this doesn't go, if this goes in my favor, your influence here is not going to be as strong. Yeah.
Okay. So Mark,
Sorry, Mark,
John is left against the world, basically.
Yeah.
What's his route?
So I think that John thinks that Marquez is the big problem here because Marquez is riling up the city. So John pulls, he has the pistol out and he tells Marquez, tell them all to back off so we can get on this train. And I as a player know that I'm gonna die here momentarily.
So who's gonna shoot you?
Marquez, I've got a feeling Marquez will here momentarily, but we'll see.
I don't want to shoot John. I like John. That's the problem, right?
You know what?
Hmm?
I'll do it.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Yeah.
Whoa. The sheriff has got his gun out. If it looks like anyone's shooting John here, because John is my only ally here in getting these criminals on the train, he'll shoot too. He'll try and shoot first. I don't know how.
If anybody tries to shoot Clementine, I will shoot. So
I
don't have no problem with shooting the sheriff.
So how about this? I think
I'm buying off my let me buy off my key burn of the key of the Brotherhood now, because I will allow the sheriff to come to harm.
So I think Lindsay will put a hand on the sheriff's shoulder and say, "You can still be sheriff after this, and you don't have to be bought by the governor. We can do this ourselves." So she's giving you a way out. Because she knows you're going to get shot in the gut in a moment.
Yeah, but is it Miss Hale? I thought I weren't no good at my job.
Well, if Duke Cahill isn't a criminal anymore, and we're going to incorporate, then you'll have the chance with some good advice.
Well, it seems that I'm not as popular as I thought I was. I don't like my chances of getting reelected, but I don't want these criminals to get away without going to the courthouse in Bright City. Now that's my job, and John here seems to be the only one who sees that.
Well, Sheriff, you don't have to worry about them getting away.
not getting
They're-
away.
They're going to be tried.
I'm not worried about them getting away. I'm worried about them not seeing proper justice.
Well,
they're
they
gonna
will
be
see
They'll say
tried.
proper justice.
No, you're
Can
you're
we
gonna
put-
hang him
can we
yourself.
put this
I
to
kinda
some sort
look
of
at
end,
Alonso after
please?
that.
We need to go to bed here in Europe.
Yes,
I'm sorry,
it's late.
but it's really late.
Okay, so
Or maybe we should just end on the Mexican standoff. Everybody threatens everybody else with a gun, and we
Yeah.
just close there. Because I feel
Yeah, I
that
think that sounds good.
we're not going
Chewing
nowhere
scenery.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay,
We see everybody pointing guns at each other.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking,
Yeah.
and someone shoots, and the shots ring out, and then we
Yeah.
close.
Yeah, there's like smoke, and we can't
Yeah.
see what
Yeah.
happens. and-
Exactly.
Oh, it just cuts to
Yeah.
black, and then you hear the bullet. Then you hear
Right.
the gunshots.
Yeah. Exactly.
okay.
Mm.
So yeah, we've
same.
run over, so I'm not sure we
Mhm.
have time for a proper epilogue. So maybe we can fill those in
I
in
don't
Copperhead
need-
County.
I don't
Uh,
need an epilogue
yeah.
for this because that would mean deciding who gets to
Yeah,
live
yeah.
or to
Well,
die.
that
Right.
Okay.
Mm.
So we'll leave it there,
Uh-huh.
and we'll stop the recording, and we'll do a very brief debrief.